All right, we're back with comment responses. This is for the final season of Star Trek Discovery, and we're going to try to limit it just to that. We're going to stay on topic. We're not going to meander too much. But this video will also kind of, suffice as a little bit of retrospective and a little bit of a round table between just me and you, the viewer, about the final season of Star Trek Discovery. And this channel, it hinges so much on what exactly I am reviewing at any given time. If it's something like Picard, we're going to have a lot of activity, but a lot of shows are just forgotten about, like Lower Decks, for example, just cratered this channel. And I was reviewing Star Trek Discovery for a while, just into the ether. There was no responses at all, just blank. I felt like nobody cared. But, I mean, people did show up after time. You know who you are. And so we're going to be looking at the comments we did get. This is the final season of Discovery. Comment responses. And for Red Directive, that would be the first episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 5. From Cool Hand 889. So there is a rule in Starfleet when two officers with the same rank is that the one you've been at that rank the longest is in charge, or whose ship is tactically superior ship. When Captain Janeway and Captain Ransom argue who was in command in this situation, I remember that. The 32nd century, they have programmable matter, so make a few shield generators and place them around the town, then fire weapons or transport the townspeople on the ship, or safe location and rebuild the town after with the same programmable matter. They forget so much of the tech and outright magic they created in the show. Good review. You caught points I missed, but that's what I think. Yeah, the reality is that in my mind, the future of Star Trek Discovery, that is the 32nd century, where we are now in Discovery. It's not as creative enough. It's not as different enough, It's just... And maybe it's a budget thing, I don't know. But if you're going to make this show in the 32nd century, I mean, go crazy, man. Go crazy. Why not? Programmable matter, that stuff's awesome. I had that idea beforehand, but they kind of stole it from my mind psychically somehow. But, I mean, really, if you have programmable matter, why do you have holograms? Just have it so programmable matter comes out of your comm badge thing and just gives you what you need, and you see a hard surface object just like that, and you read it, and there we go. I can replicate anything I need from my comm badge, etc., etc. So get creative with it. So what we're saying here is that we should have just created shield generators. My idea was a little bit more silly. My idea, if you remember my review, my idea was to actually detach the nacelle. It's already detached, so I guess just kind of fly the nacelle with its own shield generators. I assume nacelles must have a shield generator on it, right? The ships are littered with little emitters for shields, so the nacelle must have some. Evacuate it of the warp plasma and just put that in front of the town. I don't know. That's what I was thinking, but no, they used the entire ship. It's a hell of a way to make an entrance for a season, but maybe it is a little bit crazy. They have programmable matter, so why not make a few shield generators, right? And then why not just put shield generators around the town and then rebuild the town with programmable matter? I don't know. I mean, I thought this stuff made for an interesting first, episode for the season, an opener. I did kind of like the episode. It was pretty good. But yeah, they forget so much of this show. They forget that Adira has a Trill symbiont. That's the weirdest one for me. That seems kind of important, right? Star Trek Discovery Season 5 Episode 2 review. Carlel Shaw 4720. Lieutenant Mark, the plots appear AI generated. Really? Everything is stolen from other sci-fi shows. For example, the speedrunners appear to be something out of Star Wars. If what we are watching is a story that is AI generated, it is utter garbage and the viewer is owed an apology. And I said, is there some way to truly determine if it's AI generated? Like, how do you figure this out? Other evaluations on Disco are posing it's possibly AI generated because it mimics other popular sci-fi plots. They are posting the original scene next to the Disco version. There is software out there that can evaluate if script is AI generated. If you mention the word plagiarism. Next time you see them using scenes from other movies, it might motivate the writers to get their act together. I don't know. How do we know? Everything is a limitation. Everything is an imitation of something else, pretty much. I hate to break it to you, but there's very little original things in the world. I can use your argument to talk about why Star Wars is AI generated. You just go over all the influences George could pull from all the culture and media he loved. That's right. He did pull from a lot of different things to create Star Wars. Say it was a bot, boom, your argument is made. This is from Michael Papp. Michael Papp, the difference being AI took from the most popular, successful sci-fi show, Star Wars is accused of taking from one source, Dune, amongst others. The origin of the Star Trek, this must mean disco accusation, was pointed out by YouTube channel Molly and the Old Man. Star Wars takes from Akira Kurosawa films pretty heavily, I know that. R2 and 3PO were based on low-class wretches in the Hidden Fortress. In the prequels, Yoda had several behavioral patterns homaging one of Kurosawa's frequent actor collaborators. Lucas also got the scrolling text visual and episodic nature of the films from the old sci-fi serials of his childhood. That's more along the lines of what I meant. Honestly, didn't know any Dune comparisons. Care to elaborate? No, the argument isn't plagiarism, but authored by AI. Authored by AI generated another level of plagiarism. It is just cut and paste from popular sci-fi shows. I believe it is significantly different from what you point out, although both are considered bad. I mean, what point can I make here? I cannot prove if this is AI generated. I don't know how. I've been accused before of AI generating something, and I didn't. I've been accused before. I made something, and they said, this better not be AI generated. And I said, no. I wouldn't know how to do that, really, and make it look like what I did. You know, I'm a 3D modeler of sorts, and I've never AI generated anything other than, like, I've played with it, just on my own, just for jokes, but I've never, attempted to blur the lines, so to speak, between my own creation and that of AI. So I don't know how to really critique this. And yes, everything is somewhat an imitation of everything else, and everyone gets inspired, right? There's a fine line between inspired and imitated. And remember, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. Take that for what you will. So thanks, Carlel Schaff and Michael Papp, for that little conversation. And there's a lot of Kirk's top 10 stuff. I can't possibly go through this all. I need to keep this concise. From Michael Papp, I'm here, belatedly, haha. You remember what I was saying, how it felt like I was reviewing to no one originally? And that's for the first episode, so Michael Papp is here. Nah, I love the trope personally. Start with the action, then go back in time to the most boring shit ever. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about my criticism of showing the episode start, like, in the middle of the action. And I don't know. I think, having an unassuming, boring start is kind of cool, though. Like, it's kind of interesting. It's different. Like, have the episode start with somebody just drinking. That's how the Red Directive start. They're at that kind of party with the, the Federation style drinks. Kind of interesting. It might have been cool just to have an unassuming intro. I don't know. But you're saying start with the action, then go back in time, the most boring shit ever. Make us wonder how did they get from there to here? It's been a long road, but my time is finally near. I cannot read that sentence without singing that song. Was it a long road? I did. Then we learned the time was finally near to begin the adventure. Yep. And then this Michael Papp's a time traveler. Look, he came back after watching the episode with the ISS Enterprise. He watched Mirrors, and then came back. We did end up seeing an Enterprise, just not necessarily the one you anticipated. Yeah, you wanted as well. You want people to leave the ship. I think you're talking about Paul. I think in that review I mentioned I wanted Paul to swing off a vine like Tarzan or something. none of that happened. I like season 5, but it's hard to say, that I got everything I wanted. Like, maybe if they had known way beforehand this would be the final season, they could have amped it up a little bit, but we got what we got. Sadly, Adira, Paul, and Reno don't really do much. Adira does a little bit, but poor Paul and Reno, they just live on the ship and they're just there to deliver the fix for something. Like, it's so sad, but that's what we got. And no, we didn't get Paul swinging off a vine. I would make a quip. Have done actually. Punched a wall in anger. Broke my hand. Immediately said aloud to myself, "Oh boy, I think I broke my hand." How is this a quip, you ask? I was quoting Spider-Man after he punched Superman during their first team-up comic book. Despite the tremendous pain I was feeling, my first instinct was to joke about comics. My second was to cry shamelessly until the nice doctors at the ER gave me drugs. Yeah, quips. I don't know. It's there's the world of Star Trek, and then there's the world of reality, and the world of quips. And sometimes the three entwine with each other, and sometimes they don't. Yeah, this is exactly the same scene I thought of as well. You're talking about Tucker going between the Enterprise and the Columbia. How can you not think that? Very well done. I thought that was like a cornerstone of Star Trek Enterprise. Was that time they had to go between ships at warp, and they made a big deal about joining the warp bubbles, and they took it very seriously, how dangerous this was. Very cool. And you get a little bit of it with Red Directive. Yeah, and here I'm talking about kind of confusing relationships. And you're saying, Michael Papp, that would be great. Would have a nice, stable couple who don't have wild drama all the time. Like Wash and Zoe on Firefly. I don't know. Sure, there was drama, but real people stuff. Things married people argue about. I should know, being married. Those two became the most relatable to me after a while. I love Miles and Keiko, yes, too, for similar reasons. Yeah, I mean, I think in the future, and I did bring this up in that review, I think in the future, like, we could have a captain that's married to someone on the ship, and it's not like a big deal. Like, it's not played for drama. It's just something that's there. I think that could be something that happens in the future. Discovery has fully grown their Riker beard, in my opinion. A little late. I was hoping no one liked this season. Least of all me. Discovery has fully grown their Riker beard, in my opinion. The production team has now made around the same amount of episodes TNG crew had by season 3. The greatest season of... season 3 of TNG is the greatest season of TV in history? I'm not saying DSC will replicate that little success. No, TNG was a phenomenon. Like, Star Trek hasn't been, like, a phenomenon, in my opinion, since the 90s. I'm not happy about that. I wish... Like, my dream is to have little kids playing with, like, Star Trek toys that they got at the toy aisle, or they saw on a commercial for kids, or that they learned about from a cereal box or something like that. Like, deep cultural penetration again. I want to see toys at McDonald's, that type of thing. In a manner of speaking, like, that level of penetration, we just haven't had it since, like, the 90s. Drives me crazy. But and I remember this stuff. I'm old. I remember Star Trek things just as a consequence of the TNG phenomenon appearing in cross media, right? Like, oh, you go to the store and here's the Star Trek themed deck of playing cards. Right, now you gotta look hard. Now you gotta look. Like, a local department store I'm at, where I live, Christmas time, all kinds of crazy things come in, right? Because they think they're gonna sell, it's Christmas. So that's when you get, like, the, diving into less popular brands. And the only Star Trek thing I could find was, this, like, Spock-themed, Lego set or something. Like, man, that's all we can do is a thing from the most popular character from the 60s show. come on. What are we going to do? We got to beat that. Not saying DSC will replicate that level of success. I'm saying writers have finally reached a place where they've figured out what stories they can tell. True, with the cast who know their characters. True, inside and out. The improvement all around becomes more evident for me as, yes, I know. They knew what these characters are supposed to be doing, as long as it's not Paul. Because Paul didn't do anything. They knew what everyone was like doing, right? I miss Saru, but hey. As soon as I like it, it's gone, right? Boo, boo, justice for Fred. We killed Fred. Why did we kill Fred? I was sure he was going to come back. The android guy. We just wasted an android in the first episode of this season. That's kind of weird. It is a gravalanche. An avalanche, not with snow, but with rocks. A gravalanche. I don't think the energy of the warp engine can conduct through air that far. I don't think the energy of the warp engine can conduct through the air that far. Well, you're talking about throwing the nacelle at that town and using a shield. Well, I was thinking more along the lines of like, okay, the nacelle has a RCS system, right? A reaction control system. Can we deorbit the nacelle using only the RCS? Detach the nacelle, get rid of all the warp plasma, and a zero energy state, use the RCS thruster to deorbit the nacelle, I guess, and then have it. We know that in Star Trek we can time a deorbit to land in a certain spot, but now that I think about it, I think the easier answer would just be to fling it with the tractor beam to use an engineering solution for you. They were flirting, mate. Tilly was literally hot for the guy. Said guy seemed happy about it. Neither were sure what to do next exactly, hence the awkwardness. Don't tell me about that kind of stuff. I don't understand it. And that character that she was talking to in the first episode of this show, after that party, he is coming back in Starfleet Academy. I think I saw him in the final episode. I think I saw him standing there. He must be coming back. Starfleet Academy. Why did they bring him up in the first and last episode? Go back and watch the last episode. Is he not in the crowd? I think at the wedding between Saru and Tarina. Go watch it. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't look any faker than Legacy Trek. You're right. Little hiccups like that aren't a big deal in the end. That's right. Like, who cares? Right? Sometimes things look bad. Right? It doesn't look any faker than Legacy Trek, which I would warn you, that's not something you should say, because you're using an old show to justify doing something now. Just because it was ugly before, it doesn't have to be ugly now. Given that, it's not the end of the world that something's ugly. Right? Like a cool ship is a cool ship. It depends on its configuration and things like that, and its style. Art design is not necessarily the same as a prop looking stupid, right? You're right, little hiccups like that. And I bring these things up in a review. I always bring them up, little problems. But then at the end, I bring it home and I say, like, look, there's plot, theme, sound, and visuals. And these are the pillars of the episode, right? And I always say, when I see a problem, I point it out. But then I always say, if the episode's good, it's just good. And I'll usually smooth over those little things, right? Michael Papp again for Red Directive. It's not for me. Is the fairest, relatively negative subjective position one can take. It's true. Everything is just that way. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes things are just for you, and sometimes they're not for you. And I love Star Trek Prodigy, and people will laugh at me for that. So I'm not going to laugh at you if you love something that I think is terrible, like you like sea urchin, eating that stuff. I don't know. Michael Papp for Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 2. We better not see him die. I want Action Saru in the Academy show. Don't worry. The end of Star Trek Discovery positioned itself in such a way that all we have to do is have Book and Michael wind up together, right, on that planet. We don't really have to have any other complicated things happen. So, sky's the limit, really. Anything can happen to these characters between now and then. So, there's no reason we can't see these characters back in Academy. Don't worry about it. You're saying you didn't get that vibe from Kovich that he didn't care about, like, the necessities of fulfilling the Red Directive. But to me, that episode, Red Directive, it came off like, it gave me that vibe of like, wow, Red Directives are really, really important. Why would we call it Red Directive? Why wouldn't we just call it Mission? Like, I just want Kovich to just sit me down and say, this is what a Red Directive is. This is what we can and can't do. Right? Otherwise, I assume the worst because I'm just that kind of person. Right? So, if I were Rayner in this episode being grilled by, I think, the President and Admiral Vance, I would say, listen, I want everybody here right now to know what a Red Directive is before you guys grill me on this. Because I want it all on the table. And I thought that would be good for him, and I thought that would be good for the audience, and we didn't get it. Perfect time to do it, and we didn't get it. So I was a little bit disappointed. But, yeah, of course, you can think differently. I inferred they knew the culture in question and was able to follow along in later episodes. This behavior proves to be a proclivity of hers. Yeah, that's not the proclivity of Michael. That is a proclivity of Season 5. That's what Season 5 was about. It was about understanding, like, the sub-vocal and, like, the sub-logical implications of cultural axioms, mores, things like that. It is about understanding how to access them and use them and figure out their secrets. Gramavasakad, right? Kelleron things like that. I said this a long time ago when I was reviewing this. It's Darmok and Jalad. It's about understanding the little details of foreign cultures and making the effort, like making the positive, not reactive, proactive, I should say, attempt at understanding the things beforehand and then having the payoff later. So yeah, you could say that's a proclivity of Michael and the rest of the characters, whatever. But I think it's a seasonal thing. Pretty sure Burnham cleared it with Vance off screen before asking her new number one. Thought they said it in conversation. Could be misgendering. Thought they said it in conversation. This must be misremembering. Pretty sure Burnham. Yeah, like you can always assume, right? Like, you don't have to when you're I was told before to be brutal in the editing room, and what that means is you need to cut out absolutely everything you can possibly cut out. Right? You want to have it as short as possible, short and sweet. Brevity is the soul of wit, after all. If there was a scene where Burnham cleared it with Vance to get Rayner on her ship, I probably would have cut it. But that being said, I noticed the lack of it, which is also an editing failure. You're not supposed to notice editing. It's supposed to go by without you noticing it. It's like a magic trick. You're not supposed to see the strings. If you see the strings, it's not working. But this is a perfectly reasonable assumption to have. Star Trek Discovery Season 5 Episode 6 review. Ho hum halemno. Blink. What is this name? Blinkocrobs. Hi, Lieutenant Mark. I don't use Gmail for anything as Google spies on us. I made this account a long time ago because I needed something from the Android store. Anyway, I just wanted to say, despite the little engagement you seem to get, there are probably a lot of other people like I am who lurk but enjoy your animations and relaxed humor. Thank you. When I have panic attacks, better not be Google giving you a panic attack. You have a nice go-to calming videos. You're easier on New Trick than I am, but that's fine. I was motivated to write when it took you a while to post a review of the awful whistle speak, then I saw you had internet issues. I was concerned for your health or that you had given up for lack of clicks. No. A shame the new Trek shills are more popular. Well, listen, anybody who's going off in the positive direction entirely, or anybody who's going off the negative direction entirely, are going to necessarily be more popular because the things that they have to say are going to be more salacious, right? They're just, by nature, that's how it's going to work. When I was at my most angry in like Star Trek Picard Season 2, when I hit the point where I was very angry with these episodes, those episodes were hitting. They were popping. I'm not proud of that, but that's just the way it is. But I'm happy that I was honest and I was not trying to be angry at it, nor am I trying to love something. It's a balancing act, right? A shame new Trek shows are more popular. For a while, I was able to control the outside speaker of the Ocean Resort in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I played several of your videos for those strolling down the boardwalk. You're not going to believe this, but this is not the first time that's happened. I don't know if this is legal, but I've been broadcasted before in a different way. Not sure what they made of it. It usually plays generic techno, but I had fun. That's all for now. Remember, you're going to win in the end. You're going to win in the end. Thanks. Win in the End from Mark Safan. Original motion picture soundtrack from Teen Wolf is the official theme song of this video. So thanks a lot, Blinko Krobs. Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 8 review, reading Brainbow. I got a feeling we're going to see that librarian again in an episode of Starfleet Academy. She's going to be perfect for that role. I think she's one of those characters that we just immediately meet and we all kind of like say, oh, that was interesting. Something that's just kind of immediately different. Star Trek, so thanks. I am not a Nugget Blackheart. For Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 8, again, from kieranvaras. My favorite comment ever. Logical points are made. Michael Papp for Janelle. I think it might be the worst episode of Season 5, but your mileage may vary. I was trilled. We were going back to Trill. Love all the Deep Space Nine callbacks. Just like Picard Season 3. Lots of Deep Space Nine being mined for New Trek. I did not remember until you reminded me. There was a changeling, if I recall correctly. That was fun. Imagine having fingerprints that go all the way down. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that's Trill spots. I know firsthand. Yeah, I didn't follow either. Just chalked it up to social signals I'm too autistic to understand. Emotional cues I can read. Societal ones baffle and enrage and frighten me. This is about the conversation between Adira and Gray. How they kind of like broke up without looking like they broke up. It reminds me of, well, it reminds me of Burnham and Book. Like, what? Why are we breaking up? It seems like there was no reason. It's just like, we're breaking up. Oh, you know, just feelings and stuff. And then, I don't know, I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. Sloane's Section 31 would have for sure been all over that progenitor tech. I can just imagine their file pertaining to the search for the tech being amongst the data pads. Bashir and O'Brien rifled through Sloane's mind. Yes. This would be like, you know, now that I think about it, Season 5 would have been, you know, a great time to have like Section 31 doing stuff. But I don't think Section 31 played a part in Season 5, unless I'm imagining things. Being Michael Papp again. Look at this jester. Breen beat Breening, the being mentioned menace so far, like the Ferengi in TNG Season 1, only realized. Yeah, back in TNG, they were trying to kind of position the Ferengi as a villain, only to realize they were too lovable to be a villain. And I know I said this before, they might be like my favorite Star Trek aliens. I just love them. I remember people watching Deep Space Nine saying they didn't like the Ferengi-centric episodes, and then I remember on my own thinking these are my favorite episodes. Like, they're just the best. I don't know. I just love them. Yeah, and the Breen are like kind of an early, you know, a Dominion War kind of arc, Deep Space Nine thing. Like they came in at the end of Deep Space Nine. They were kind of around. They're propositioned as being these very threatening things, and we just don't and we don't really just see a lot of it. And now we got it again, and I still didn't love them in season 5 Discovery. Like I just didn't get enough of their world. Listen, if I can deal with black paper on the Enterprise D bridge, look closely, to fight light glare, I can put up with not so great nighttime settings. Haha. Yeah, I did bring it up. It's just an ugly episode. Like, but it's not. That's not what kills it. It's not that. It's just kind of like, the overall. It's just one note. There's not much going on. It's just kind of, in my opinion, what saves it is like Culber being able to act, like his actor, whoever it was. What is it, Wilson Cruz? It was just good for having Wilson Cruz be able to do something different, which is something Paul never really got, unfortunately. Because Wilson Cruz's Culber character was dangerously close to just becoming the nice guy. Describe Culber's character? He's nice. He's just a nice guy. That's it. But Janelle gave him a little bit more, so that's good. Right? It was so Trek. Love that the lesson was empathy. Yeah, it's, simple is not bad. The simple lesson is that you need to be able to empathize with this ferocious animal. And they did. I think that the intent was that the person who found it would be empathetic, yes, and that empathetic person would not abuse the tech, even if that was the orders of its government or other organizational head. Yeah, this is the episode where I started to wonder about, are we testing one person or are we testing a whole civilization? Because I remember thinking, Michael is solving this puzzle, right? That's fine, but Michael is a member of a group of people, right? What if Michael is not the one sent in to get the tech at the end, right? Did they think of that? But your point stands. I mean, if it is indeed that same person that solves this puzzle and then goes in to get the progenitor tech, then it would stand to reason that they would be an empathetic person. That's good. The notion of the Romulan culture-based test was to see how culturally aware the finder was. Cultural knowledge beyond one's own implies a greater understanding. True. I only wish that the final puzzle required an understanding of dimensions beyond the third dimension. The way these puzzles are lined up, it looks like, okay, this one is for empathy, this one is for cultural knowledge, yada, yada, yada. Eventually you get to the point where it should be so hard at the end to figure out that it's unbelievable. But it wasn't. It was just a little puzzle that didn't require any real good knowledge of what I assume would be knowledge beyond 3 dimensions, beyond that of the standard linearity of time as we imagine it. But that's not what happened. Maybe the writers just couldn't think of anything. Nog got his... Okay, I remember this. In the episode Janelle, Michael Papp is commenting that Nog got his leg blown off. And this is after I said that I wish a Starfleet character would just get something real damage happen. And then I said, look at the view screen. What's the correlation? I'm not following. It's an image of Nog that I inserted after I remembered he lost his leg when I was editing the video. Yes, okay, I see it now, huh? You gotta look at the view screen. The view screen has little jokes in it sometimes that are there for like a few frames. It's for people who are really looking. There's something in the view screen. Sometimes I'll stick there for a frame, or I'll correct myself. I'll be reviewing the episode. I'll say something stupid or I'll just forget something, and then I'll shove it in to the view screen just to dunk on myself. No, wrong, and put this in the view screen so that if you're watching, you'll see how wrong I am. I'm just flexing on myself. Star Trek Season 5, Episode 3. Red Herring Directive. That's my little pet name for Janelle. Stamets was lamenting the loss of his legacy through the spore drive. His hope was to be remembered like Zephyr Cochrane. Bold of him to contribute something to improve society. Yes, depression at the failed realization of his dream is completely reasonable, as is his exuberance over something new that might be able to rekindle that dream. Sorry, Paul. Rediscovering progenitor tech could be the impact he was looking for. You and I both are kind of wanting, like, the Paul story to go somewhere. I like the hunt for tech more than a race against the clock to stop a universe-ending event. Yeah, sure, it's bad if the Breen wipes out the Federation HQ. Still not galactic doom. The tone of this chase has been a lot less dire, more adventurous. The stakes feel a lot more grounded, personal. Yeah, but I would also say in Season 5, there's moments where I think it should be a little bit more urgent, and it's not. A few moments. Just off the top of my head, I can't think of anything because I'm stupid. But, that's just what I think. So yeah, totally. I thought he was some type of radical Vulcan purist at first. Turned out he's just a campaign manager focused on public perception. Yeah, I'm happy that they didn't kind of turn him into a joke character, a Duvin or whatever, but I'm not happy they never came back. Remember when they introduced Duvin and that whole idea about Tarina facing opposition from other interested parties on Navarre with regards to rule over foreign celestial bodies and the like? It never went anywhere. That wasn't about anything. It never really ended up being a serious stumbling block for Tarina and Sarah. I don't know where that plot was going. Maybe that was going to be something, but... And then, we're jumping way ahead. Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 9 review. I don't remember discovering... From Birdie 80. Okay, this comment is beautiful. I don't remember discovering ever getting a cloak either. This is after I pointed out that in Lagrange point, Discovery cloaks, and I didn't remember them getting a cloak. I don't remember discovering ever getting a cloak either. What you want to say here is Discovery. But what's weird about this is that if we put I don't remember discovering Discovery ever getting a cloak either, it would work. This is a typo where we can change ing to a y and it works. Or we can insert the word discovery after discovering to make it work. We can fix this, what I assume is a typo. We can fix it two ways. Just because the ship is called Discovery. So thanks a lot for this very fascinating comment, Bertie80. And yeah, I don't know when they got a cloak either. And that's about it for Discovery Season 5. Again, kind of a bare bones season response-wise. So to bolster this video, we're going to look at community posts as well. So I believe this is going to be our first time looking at community posts. We're just going to go backwards. 7 days ago. Well, there you go. This is my post reviewing, making a tier list, I should say, of the Discovery seasons. I can't turn this whole video into a tier list video, so I'm just going to not talk about this that much. But comments wise, Michael Papp, I feel like you're being a bit unfair to season 2 and 4. I feel like each season of Discovery was better than the last. I would put 1 in D, 2 in C, 3 in B. I personally love the burn, cause, and resolution. 4 is B as well. Another step in the right direction, but more of a lateral one. Discovery Season 5 is S. We're in agreement that Discovery Season 5 is the best one. A lot of people seem to say that too. I wish there was at least one more season with this cast and crew. They were just getting the hang of things. Ain't that always the way? I like one... Okay, I'm not turning this into a tier list video. I like 1 a little bit more than 2, 3, and 4, just because of how fresh it felt at the time. Fresh does not mean good, it means different. And visually, it was a little bit more bold. I like going to the mirror universe. The resolution of season 1 was terrible, I thought. But I liked Lorca. I liked Angry Paul. I like that early Tilly. So sue me. I don't know. Yeah. My least favorite season is probably either 2 or 4. I don't know. This is the end. Will Reno leave the ship? Will Paul leave the ship? Will the current Enterprise make an appearance? What's the pathway drive like? How does it work? Did the term Red Directive really mean anything? Who's gonna die? Nope. To be fair, we're all gonna die. Rest in peace, all of us, from powercage. Yep. We're all gonna die. Drawings. No comment. Am I crazy, or did they alter Chris Pine's face a bit to make him more like William Shatner? Look at that. Look at it. Chris Pine's face is not that wide. It's not. He does not look like Chris Pine. He looks like Chris Shatner or William Pine. Like, look at him. That on the right, that's obviously Zachary Quinto. And on the left, I believe that's obviously Zoe Saldana. That is not Chris Pine. You cannot tell me that's Chris Pine. So we're trying to slowly kind of sneak William Shatner back in. It's kind of weird. Jesus, if you squint and stop squinting, it feels like it's swapping between the two actors. Wouldn't put it past them. Hey, at least they're not intentionally removing black people from the image like Disney, like we're trying to sell this in China or something. Powercage says. I know what that's referencing. Internet down, new review is going to be late. Posting this from public Wi-Fi. Dark Days. Can we really stick an Ambassador-class saucer onto an Excelsior-class secondary hull? Are we flying too close to the sun? What do you think? Are we? Can we really do it? Just... I have so many just joke 3D models laying around that I just throw together out of boredom. A complete fan guide to Star Trek. Missing Sisko, Janeway, and Archer, but has Calvin Kirk. Features nothing animated. Non-mirror Georgiou. Powercage. We all know Michael Burnham is the only person who matters. Well, Discovery just ended. And you can see her sneaking in there behind Pike, Kirk, and regular Georgiou. That's not mirror Georgiou, I don't think. That's weird. Do you think they would have, kind of the Section 31 mirror Georgiou, but whatever. What do I know? Drawings number 6. Oh, we got a comment on this. A lot like I used to do, from Floyd Looney, but mine weren't as good. Thank you. And then finally, this is our final Season 5 Discovery post. Power stance. Like, when Raynor, I think this is hologram appears on the bridge of the Discovery, just look at the performance here. They had to have known how funny that was. And I just said, power stance. And then, of course, Michael Papp is like, haven't seen the episode yet, but I can agree. That stance here is powerful. We can all agree on that. Thanks a lot, everybody who commented. And that was the end of Star Trek Discovery. Forever. Until we see these characters again in Starfleet Academy, I'm sure they're going to show up. There's no way we're wasting Raynor. There's no way we're wasting Tilly. Michael, I don't know, maybe poetically you want to kind of bookend that as being the main character. I don't know. It depends on how they feel. The new characters we were getting still have adventures that they could go on. But that being said, bye-bye Discovery. Hello Academy. And as a little a side note, Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 is being dropped all at once on Netflix. But there's a catch. I don't know how to get it in my area right now without telling you exactly where I am. You can figure it out maybe. I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to watch it. I'll try to figure it out. But expect weirdness in the future. I'm Lieutenant Merrick, and I'm going to see you when next I see you. So long.